with me. Famous scenes with drama queens and heroes acted out there on the silver screen. Come grab a seat, the popcorn is on me.
Superheroes, Shakespeare, and shenanigans. All that is a part of this week's episode. Meet me at the movies. Noel T. Manning II here, hanging out with Thomas Manning over to my right. Good to see you, man.
Yeah, and don't forget fish sandwiches also in that mix.
That's
there,
right.
So.
And speaking of fish sandwiches, back in the studio with us after a 2-year hiatus, Mr. Greg Tillman. He's been back there on the Tim Cam. There you go, Mr. Greg Tillman. Yay! Hey. There's that studio audience.
And no one has been clamoring for me.
No clamoring? Ooh, fish. Fish related.
No, that's clam.
A good joke.
That's shellfish. That's not really fish, though.
Well, it's
It has fish in the name, so we'll go for it.
Clam
exactly
is
right.
Clam is a mollusk.
Well, we're glad to have you back.
All right.
No matter
Good to be
what,
back talking
no
about
matter what
mollusks.
your problems
I
are.
can tell you more about mollusks than the movies you're going to talk about this week.
Biology nerd over here. Gosh.
Not
according to my biology professor.
Well, we're very happy to have you back. And on the Tim Cam, we don't have Tim, but there is a T in the name. Todd is back there on the Tim Cam. Well, there's Tim. Tim Foster, look at that. Tim Foster and Todd. So we got the double whammy. It's a full house today on Meet Me at the Movies. And we've got a lot to talk about, a ton to talk about, including this name that Gomer Pyle loved. He loved the name Shazam.
Shazam.
Elvis Presley was also a big fan of the original comics, which were released back in the 30s. And just a few years ago, the film was released, Shazam. Now we're talking about the sequel to that, Shazam, Fury of the Gods. That's what we're going to be talking about today. The film that was released in 2019, it was kind of a cross between Harry Potter, Big, and what else did I say? The Greatest American Hero. That's how I described it a few years ago.
I liked it.
You liked it?
I thought it was a pretty good movie for DC.
Well, a lot of people liked it. $366 million, so it made some money. Thomas, how were you on it?
I would agree it was pretty good. Wouldn't give it much higher than that, but it was fun. I like Zachary Levi's characterization of Shazam and the Billy Batson character. Or what is the Shazam character's name? So there's Billy Batson, but then when he becomes Shazam, what do they
That's
call
the
him?
question.
Gomer, isn't it?
Yeah, Gomer.
Yeah.
Well, actually, in the DC comics, he was Captain Marvel.
Okay, yeah.
But because of the MCU, they couldn't really use Captain Marvel, but they did do a little nod to it in this one. And we actually find out what his name is in this one as well. You know, when I look for sequels, I look for maturity. I look for something that extends that universe, that takes it up a notch. And that was really something that I was hoping we would see happen. Sadly, I didn't see that. That did not happen in this. The maturity level was way down. So here's the story. Not a whole lot of the story, but it's actually one that you may have heard before in another universe. The daughters of a god, this time Atlas, come to Earth to seek revenge. They want to have this ancient power, and they basically want to go after humanity because they feel like this power was stolen from them. The goal is to seek revenge and basically lay Earth into a wasteland is ultimately what one of these sisters wants to do.
We're doing a pretty good job of that ourselves. We don't need their help, do we?
we don't need these ancient gods to come and help this happen.
Thanks, but we've got this covered, you know.
Meet Me at the Movies.
Well, the only thing standing in the way is superheroes, and the superheroes are the Marvel family or the Shazam family or whatever you want to call them. There is new members to the cast, acting talents. Helen Mirren, Lucy Liu show up in this. Also Rachel Zegler from West Side Story. Holdovers, Zachary Levi's back, Jaimin Hansu is back, Asher Angel, Grace Caroline Curry, and Jack Dylan Fraser, and a few others. So you'll see some of the same faces, but a few new ones. So here's three things that were going for this one, for me. Jack Dylan Fraser, he plays Freddie Freeman, and Freddie Freeman was the one who had to use he's got a physical disability, so he was having to use the crutch. He really did shine in this one. This was really much more, to me, his story. He's a high school kid he's now a high school kid, and he's using humor to kind of fight off the bullies And he's using
Worked for
that.
me most of the time.
So he's using that to take on all the bullies of the world, much like Greg Tillman. And what we see in this
Still do.
character is heart, courage, and we see that it grows 3 sizes much larger, kind of like the Grinch. So his on-screen interactions with Rachel Zegler's character, really solid. So that's one thing going for it. Also, Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot, or Gal Gadot, makes a couple of
Is he showing
interesting
off?
cameos.
We actually learned that from a tour guide at Warner Brothers Studios. We thought it was Gal Gadot for years, and then we went to a tour on the Warner Brothers studio lot back in 2020, and this guy was saying Gal Gadot. We're like, what is he talking
What's
about?
a Gadot?
But
What is
then
that?
we actually do some more research, and that's the way you pronounce it, apparently.
So that's the second thing going through it. For Wonder Woman, a couple of cameos. And also there's a Junkie XL Elvis Presley remix of Little Less Conversation. That makes an appearance in the film. So those are the 3 things going for this film. 3 things not going for it. We see Zachary Levi's character, yet to be named superhero. He acts like a 10-year-old, and he did that in the last movie. Well, in this movie, the actual character of Billy Batson's almost 18, and so we haven't seen any growth in this kid. They actually make him look like an idiot, and even calls himself an idiot a few times. So there's no maturity in the character there, and he pretty much seems clueless about everything. And the Billy Batson character is only on screen for maybe 10 minutes in the whole movie. The rest of the time we see him as the Zachary Levi character. 2, what's not going for it? Wasted opportunities. Helen Mirren, Lucy Liu. They seem to somehow kind of get lost in this storyline. I don't know why they took the role unless it was just the paycheck. And 3, the film is forgettable. The humor was really forced throughout, and I found myself kind of shaking my head going, I just don't know. I'm really wondering again, and I had the same feeling with the original film, who is the audience for this? PG-13 rating. There were times it felt like it was aimed at kind of a preteen audience, but then other times they went to the edge, almost to going past PG-13. So I'm just not sure what they were going with this. So Shazam, Fury of the Gods, I'm just not a big fan of it. The balance was just really off. And if there is going to be a third film, the bar now for me is really, really low.
Yeah, so talking about the audience and who is this for, if you remember in the first Shazam, there was a scene that took place in the conference room, like the top of the apartment building or top of the office building. And there was, up until that point, the film could have been directed toward like 10-year-olds and late elementary schoolers, but then that scene takes an extremely dark turn, and I think you and I were sitting there in the theater looking over at each other like, what in the world is happening here? This is like something from,
That was on a couple of days ago. Sunday afternoon, I think I saw it, and I went, and that scene was on, and my wife Carol hadn't seen it before. She'd not seen the movie. And I said, oh, this is a great scene. And you know, he's playing along, trying to figure out, you know, who everyone was, and then suddenly that first drop out. I can't say what she said, but it shocked her. I'll put it that way.
I went back to the review we did.
Tonally, it was just kind of out of left field.
When several years ago when we did the review for this, Douglas Davidson, it was his first appearance on the show.
What does he know? No,
and and he reviewed it because he got a real early screening for it. And one of the things he said was it did push that PG-13, rating just to the edge. And I'm just really struggling with this. Who is this for? Who can I suggest it for? Honestly, I'm not going to suggest it for anybody. It just didn't work for me. They did not do preview screenings for critics in this area, which is a rarity now, especially for a DC film like this. So
it's usually a bad sign too.
It is, and when you look at the Rotten Tomato scores, there's kind of a gap between how the audiences are feeling and how the critics are feeling. I mean, a huge gap, and normally it's not that big of a gap. And critics' ratings are really low for this. Other thoughts, comments?
So if you're going to recommend a movie that has Fury in the title, I guess you would say Mad Max Fury Road is a better choice. Yeah.
Every day of every week, Mad Max Fury Road on my list. This movie, C- rating.
Ooh.
I was bordering that C, but the more I thought about it, the more I kind of went through it, I was like, I just can't. I just can't. Not for me.
Too bad.
So,
because I enjoyed the first one. It's tough to see the other one.
Yeah,
fall so far.
Go see it. If you enjoyed the first one, you may enjoy this one, but it doesn't seem to be the case with the returning audience for this. Well, Thomas, you're going to talk about a film that's getting limited release. Stephen Frears, Steve Coogan, Sally Hawkins, who loves fish. They offer a story about a woman seeking to find the remains of Richard III in Lawndale. I think that's the storyline.
What?
Is that
It was actually Kaiser, I believe.
Kaiser.
Yeah.
Kaiser. All right, Richard III's remains in Kaiser. So three
There are
questions.
probably a lot of things in Kaiser that haven't been found.
So three questions on this before you dive into the review. Are there any sea creatures in this movie?
There are no sea creatures. They do dig into some subterranean levels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say that again, like really fast. They
Yeah,
really
I'll
dig
I'll
into
time
it.
you.
They really
Let's
do
go.
dig.
We don't have all day. Let's go.
All right, Monty Python references. Any of those in this movie?
No, but there's some characters that look like they come straight from Monty
Okay.
Python. Yeah.
And does this have anything to do with Lord of the Rings?
No, not quite, but
So we'll approach that later.
we will.
All
We
right.
certainly
so,
will.
So dive into your topics of the Lost King.
So this is based on a book written by Philippa Langley and Michael Jones. And Philippa Langley, it's based on a somewhat true story from her life, and that is adapted here into this film. And Sally Hawkins plays that character, Philippa. And she's a woman who's divorced, but she's still living in the same house as her ex-husband. And they're working to raise their two sons together. And she's also worked an office sales job.
Now that's a dynamic.
It really is an interesting dynamic, and her husband is Steve Coogan,
Okay.
who co-wrote the script for this film. So she's working in this office sales job, and she also deals with chronic fatigue syndrome. So all of this, she's at a point in her life where she really needs something to kind of inspire passion and energy just in her daily life, because she's caught in the cycle.
It kind of sounds like a Greg Tillman story.
It sounds exactly like Greg Tillman's life.
Sadly, that may be kind of accurate.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well,
It's so great having him back out here
it really is. It really is. This is the kind of energy we
Why
need.
am I doing this?
for our enjoyment.
Hopefully, I'm not being seen at least, so I can still escape the authorities.
Well, anyway, Philippa, she needs a goal to work towards. She needs something tangible. And she finds that inspiration when she goes to a stage production of Richard III, which is a Shakespeare play, and she begins to question its historical accuracy. And this sets her on a path to clear the good name of King Richard III, and finds that there are other people who want to do the same. And this is her newfound purpose. This king was someone who history wrote as a usurper, as someone who was a terrible individual. But she thinks, you know what, there might be, maybe the people who wrote history covered some of his good deeds up.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So go ahead, Greg, because I was like, it continues to sound like Greg Tillman to me.
Yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing.
Oh, add even more to that. She's having visions of an apparition of Richard III. And so she finds herself speaking with him and interacting with him every day. And of course, other people around her think that she's kind of losing it.
Yeah.
They think she's going through some sort of major,
Crisis, yeah.
psychological break. And her friends even try to stage an intervention of sorts. But throughout this journey, there's going to be some opposition, and at times it does her more harm than good in the individual moments. But generally, over the arc of the narrative, this adventure brings her personal healing, and it's what she needed in the long run. She's on a quest for truth, and she wants to unearth that truth at all costs. I think this movie is a testament to the power of art to embolden and galvanize everyday people to do something extraordinary.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you were impressed with the story.
I was quite impressed with the story. This was the type of movie that I feel like, my late grandparents, Bob and Ray Lean, it would have been their favorite movie of the year.
Really?
It's their
kind of film.
that PBS, that BBC type audience.
Yeah.
They would just fall in love with it. It's extremely British, very, very British.
Well, a great cast, great talents behind the scenes putting this together as well. I know when they sent this trailer, I said, yeah, this looks like something I would enjoy because it's a different kind of film. It's not your It's not your Shazam or your other just explosions going off everywhere. It's just a little different, has that indie vibe to it.
Yeah, it's just Sally Hawkins just searching for meaning in life, and she finds it in something that may or may not be real to other people, but it's real to her. So.
Yeah. So other thoughts about it that you appreciated?
So the actor who plays Richard III, both in the apparitions but also in the stage production, I kept looking at him thinking, this guy is super familiar. Where do I know him from? I felt like he was from somewhere in Game of Thrones, but he wasn't a recurring character on Game of Thrones. And I realized that he played Daenerys Targaryen's brother, Viserys Targaryen, in the first season of Game of Thrones. And of course, there's a reason I didn't remember him because he didn't stick around for very long. Bit of a spoiler for Game of Thrones, but he's really, really fascinating. He's just the way he carries himself is very fascinating, and he has incredible hair in this movie. I'm pretty sure it's a wig, but it's beautiful. It's
kind of like a Thomas Manning hair.
I was thinking yours is a wig too, isn't it?
I think that's going to be the model for my
It
next.
didn't quite match the fake mustache earlier.
Yeah, he does not have a mustache, which was a little bit disappointing, but his hair, incredible. That's going to be what I'm setting my sights on moving forward. So
you've already talked about who would appreciate this, those who
I think
enjoy.
You should go for mutton chops. I think that girls love those.
I just love the name
21st
mutton
century.
chops. That just sounds like something you'd order at, Shelby Cafe or something. Yeah, give me some of those mutton chops, and put
special.
some gravy on them. Some gravy and some barbecue sauce. Kentucky fried barbecue sauce.
Need fried okra.
Fried okra, absolutely. So you've already said the PBS crowd, the BBC crowd, definitely be the ones that would be drawn to this. Others that you think would appreciate it? Or is that really kind of more of a high art
people
kind of
like
thing?
Greg Tillman, who it's based on his life. So yeah.
Do you have any questions for Thomas?
No, I don't even want to see the movie. I've already lived it, apparently.
But I think this isn't a movie that anybody's going to hate. There's nobody that's going to be like, I actively dislike this film. It's just pretty much presents itself exactly as it is, and it's not going to offend anybody.
Yeah.
And anybody's going to walk away from it going, hey, that was pretty good. So, yeah.
So what is your rating for this?
I'll give it a solid B for The Lost King, and I believe it's hitting theaters limited release.
I know we're running long, but I do have is it a drama? Is it a comedy? A
dramedy? It's a dramedy. Yeah,
okay.
Dramedy.
All right.
Yeah, dramedy, and it comes to us from IFC. That is IFC. Igloo Fish
Cobra.
Yeah. Igloo Fish Cobra. All right, well, we're going to take a quick intermission right here on Meet Me in the Movies. We're going to come back and talk about Lord of the Rings, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk about Rabbit Hole with Kiefer Sutherland. We'll have to wait and see right after this quick intermission.
So far and wide, keep Manhattan, just give me that countryside.
Tune in to Senior Moments, C19's newest series, to learn about senior living in Cleveland County. I am your host, Jackie Sibley Newton with Brookdale Assisted Living. Whether you are a senior, planning for your own future, or helping someone make decisions, Senior Moments has got information to share. We talk about the wealth of services, activities, and healthy living options available to you here in our area. Tune in and learn more about how to live your best life. That's Senior Moments right here on C19 and also on C19.TV.
Let's play ball. Hi, I'm Tim Foster from C19 TV Sports. Don't miss the broadcast of Region 10 Junior College Yeti Men's Baseball and Yeti Girls Softball right on the campus of Cleveland Community College. Check it out live on our YouTube channel, the rebroadcast on C19 TV, or online at C19.TV in 2023. Go Yetis!
Won't you come and meet me at the movies? Won't you come and watch?
Welcome back to Meet Me as the Movies. Noel T. Manning II here. Thomas Manning over there.
Tish, you spoke French.
That's Greg Tillman back in the studio with us, and back on the Tim Cam, we've got Todd. Todd back on the Tim Cam. Does Todd have a last name, or we just call him Todd?
I think he wants to go by Grandmaster Todd today.
Grandmaster Todd. Oh, it's Grandmaster Todd right there on
Or Doctor,
Film
either
Cam.
one.
Well, before
Actually,
the break,
Doctor sounds good.
before the break, we had a heck of a lot of fun.
Which finger was
Talking about Shazam, the Fury of the Gods, and the Lost King. And now we're going to talk about a little encounter Thomas had. Thomas loves to, I don't know, he loves to have fun with friends.
I love to do bits.
Love to do little bits.
You have friends? That's the amazing part. No, I'm kidding.
You met one of them.
Yeah,
who
remember
we're talking about
Buzz?
here.
Remember Buzz, who came on the show?
Oh, yeah, that's
Buzz.
right. Kind of, yeah.
Buzz.
Yeah.
It's when Thomas hosted the show. I think I was in surgery or something for my brain
I
transplant.
maybe blocked that one out.
Maybe so. So Buzz asked you about the movie Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, for a little bit of context, Buzz is right now working on a cruise out in the Caribbean. That's what he does for his job. Yeah, he's just...
He's
cruise
an
line?
entertainment director for Caribbean Queen.
That's
is that what it is?
interesting.
Something like
Oh,
that.
Caribbean Queen. That's Billy Ocean. That's right.
So
Is
anyway,
that his real name? Anyone named Buzz?
Buzz.
Buzz
Austin
Aldrin. Is that his real name?
Austin Buzzard.
Austin Buzz Buzzard.
I was going to say, what's Buzz short for? Buzzard? They named him Buzzard?
His last
That's his
name is
last
Buzzard.
name. He didn't have a
He
choice
couldn't
in that
help
matter.
Oh, it's his last name.
Anyway, Buzz
I'll
sends,
stop there.
Buzz sends me a text. He's never seen Lord of the Rings movies. He goes, "Hey Thomas, what order do I watch Lord of the Rings movies in?" I'm like, this is an incredible opportunity. I'll never get another opportunity like this to just throw someone completely off. So I tell him, you start out Return of the King, then you go Fellowship of the Ring, and then you go The Two Towers. And I'm expecting him, okay, he'll start Return of the King, get like 15 minutes into it before he realizes, wait, I've missed like 6 hours of the story here. Not quite. I get a text a couple hours later, and he says, dude, I'm halfway through Return of the King, and just realized this is the last Lord of the Rings movie. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know that it would take you that long to realize it. I feel kind of bad now, but still, I'm very proud of what I've accomplished here in terms of advancing my comedic skills.
So he was a friend.
I haven't heard from him since. Yeah.
Oh man, well, that's classic.
Probably jumped overboard.
I'm glad you got a chance to share that. And Buzz, there's a thing called Google. Google and IMDb, my friend.
You could have just said he looked at the list in reverse or something.
So there you go.
It was just a
Put it back on him.
simple mistake. Yeah.
So the actual way you're supposed to watch Lord of the Rings for viewers who have not seen it, Thomas, give them the actual rundown.
Number 1, Fellowship. Number 2, Two Towers.
Okay.
Number 3, Return of the King.
All right, there you go. So that's the actual way you should watch that. And if you really want to, get in deep, you can go watch the Hobbit films beforehand. Your call, completely your call.
And the Amazon series.
Yeah, and the Amazon series. But oh man, yeah, we're really getting deep now down the rabbit hole. Speaking of rabbit hole,
Nice
what-
segue.
Thank you, Kiefer
impressed.
Sutherland,
Wow.
a longtime fan of Sutherland, going back to his teenage years when he did things like The Lost Boys and Stand By Me, and I've just kind of followed him throughout his career. When 24 hit the small screen, I was blown away by that series and what they were able to do with that series. Real time, 1 hour is 1 hour is what you're watching, and that was just an amazing concept to me, and it really did work well for the most part throughout that run. Kiefer Sutherland is his best, I think, now when he does the action, the intrigue, the suspense, and kind of that mystery. He's back in a series called Rabbit Hole that you can find on Paramount Plus. Here's the storyline: a corporate con artist and basically a manipulator of facts finds himself in the center of a murder investigation, corporate and political espionage, and a spinning Rubik's Cube. That's right, a spinning Rubik's Cube.
One more time.
Spinning Rubik's Cube
Okay.
of answers that are in search of questions. Confused? Well, you will be if you watch this series. But I will say that Sutherland really shines. He's in his element in this kind of thing. He's in his element. Action's top notch. The story really does have me guessing the whole way. I'm already 4 episodes in. They did some advanced episodes for me. So 4 episodes in, the twists and turns take you to places you didn't expect. And I think that's where it kind of gets into the rabbit hole. You think you're going in one direction, it takes you somewhere else, but it really does work. You find yourself going, okay, what did I just see? and you have to go back and kind of retrace your steps. The schedule for 8 episodes. The pilot does take just a few minutes to get into it, to get into the story. It's trying to establish the characters, the story as well. But man, after that, you really kind of get into the deep end of conspiracy theories, chaotic mayhem, and some childhood trauma that adds to this character.
Again, sounds like my autobiography.
But after
this is a sequel to the other one that we talked about?
Different than Lost King. But I do find myself after every episode really waiting for the next one. Okay, what's going to happen next? My only concern is with shows that surround themselves and are embed themselves in kind of conspiracy theories. What if it gets canceled and the questions aren't answered? Really good shows can find ways to answer questions from an episodic standpoint, almost a serialized standpoint at the end of the season, but leave a room open for what's to come. That's my biggest complaint, really, my only complaint with it. I think it really does work. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves because we've still got 4 more episodes. Well, I've still got 4 more episodes until the end, but it is live now. 8 total episodes. Right. Live now, A- rating for me for the film, the TV series on Paramount Plus called Rabbit Hole. Questions?
I didn't see 24. My wife loved it.
Really?
I know. I don't know. I think I was busy with work or something back in the day or something, but I didn't see it. I saw Sutherland in Designated Survivor, and I liked him in that.
Yeah.
Not exactly an action part
for
him, but
until it went to Netflix.
Solid.
Until it went to Netflix.
Yeah.
The final season was
pretty terrible.
Bust for that.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a minute and a half. Do you want to talk about Operation Fortune or not? Or do you want to wait?
We can save that for later.
All right, we're going to save that. I do want to say, we'll say this Mandalorian. Mandalorian season 3, I think it keeps getting better.
Yeah, it certainly does. In the first episode, we get a zombie droid sequence. We get a joke about using your head. We get Babu Freak makes his return. We saw Babu Freak in The Rise of Skywalker. And we have a Davy Jones space pirate. That's all in the last 20 minutes of the first episode. Now we're 3 episodes deep into the season, and it gets a little bit wilder every single episode.
Yeah, I think this is a series that, to me, I found it to be better than I really expected it to be, because this was really, it wasn't a character we were familiar with. We were familiar with Boba Fett, but the Mandalorian, what was that? And I think it's really shined for us.
Yeah, and this most recent episode was actually directed by Lee Isaac Chung, who directed Minari a few years ago, the Academy Award nominated film with Stephen Yeun. So, yeah, they keep getting more interesting talent behind the camera, and each season they keep getting new voices in there, and I'm always impressed with what they're able to accomplish from that standpoint.
Yeah, great series, continues to be strong, still holding a solid A for me.
Solid A as well.
All right, and who did you say the Zachary Levi guy was his name? So it's
Billy Batson?
No, it's not Zachary Levi. That's not who's involved in this. Shazam, Fury of the Gods, don't waste your money.
Shazam's in The Mandalorian?
Yes, yes. That would be amazing.
That would be good.
Maybe that would make it better. I don't know. Not Mandalorian, but Shazam.
I think the Borg maybe should just come in and wipe everything
Would love
out
to see
start
that.
over.
And Picard continues.
Holy cow.
It gets
one of the best things on TV right now.
Better every episode. And
Shout out to Todd Stashwick, too.
We have got to pull together a list for Thomas of what he needs to see before Picard.
He won't pay any attention to us.
Yes, I will. Come on.
He will. Yeah, because
I respect my elders.
He's actually walked in while I've been watching it, and he's like, man, that looks good. I'm like, it is, man. It is. All right, movie quote of the week before we wrap things up. This is one of the another thing from Shazam. It's a movie quote within a movie quote.
Okay.
All right. I've seen all the Fast and Furious movies, lady. Let me tell you something. It's all about family. So there you go. So, Todd like that. That's Todd back there on the Tim Cam. Appreciate Todd running Mission Control. Greg Tillman back in the studio. Appreciate you as well.
Don't get used to it.
All right.
I figured I'd do it one more time while I'm,
we'll take advantage of it while we've got Thomas Manning over there, and you can follow Thomas Manning anytime. He loves stalkers. And I'm Noel T. Manning II for Meet Me at the Movies right here on C19 TV and for the radio and podcast on WGWG.org. Till next time, that's a wrap.